Introducing the Special Effects Mini Labradoodle Puppies from Isle Doodles. This is a birth announcement video and it is starring 9 puppies. You got it, 9 puppies from one amazing Mama Rowan and Papa Rocky. And so today's video is going to show you Rowan, all of the 9 puppies. We're going to tell you about the birthing process, and we're going to introduce you to each of the puppies. Hi, I'm Claire from Isle Labradoodles, and holy smokes, this litter was quite something. We thought that Rowan, being that she is a small girl, and this was her first litter, would maybe have 4, perhaps 5 if we were lucky. That would be how many puppies she would have. And then when we took her in for her scan and we looked at the picture, it's like, this looks more like there's 7 or 8 puppies here. And then when it came time for the puppies to be born, no, there weren't 7, there weren't 8, there were 9 puppies. Rowan just kept delivering and delivering. So we have a whole extra litter almost available now. We had, of course, pre-sold our litter as we always do, and we only sold 5 spots, trying to be cautious. We never want to disappoint anybody, so we booked 5 spots, but we have 4 more that are available because we have 9 incredibly beautiful puppies. And as you can see here, we have a complete rainbow. So this is Rowan, and she's going to catch a nap now that I'm here, and she can rest easy knowing that the babies are all going to be looked after. This is Rowan, and she is genetically a black dog. She's a black sable. So when she was born, she was very black, almost like yellow collar here. And as time goes on, the sable pattern does what we call clear out. So you can see she still has a fair bit of sort of silvery black on her back here. And then she's got these gorgeous tan and caramel points up her legs. Her ears are a really good representation of sable, where we have the jet black at the bottom, overlapped by the beautiful copper, and then some lighter caramel and some silvering in through her ears and over on her face. Every sable is unique. Every one of their patterns clears differently. It's my personal favorite pattern. I just love it because you never know exactly what you will end up with. So there are sables in this litter, which we'll get to once we go through each of the puppies. But for now, I'll tell you these 2 here are both sables. The blacks I'm not sure about, and we'll talk about why that is when we go through the puppies. Rowan was really great during the whelping process. It did take a long time, which is understandable considering there were 9 puppies who had to get ready to be delivered. So you may not know that dogs have 2 uterine horns. So the puppies are in these 2 different horns, and then they come together all to the exit. So they line up within the horns when it's time to be born and start that process. Now, there's no rhyme nor reason to how they're born, and nobody really knows. Is it all the puppies in one horn are delivered and then the second horn? Or is it 1-1? Or is it 3-1? No pattern at all. Nobody is actually sure. And it could be that, say, in this litter of 9, that there were 6 in one horn and only 3 in another. Now, as breeders, we like to do a lot of supposition and come up with our own theories based on our experience. And I can tell you, after 43 years of breeding dogs, there really is not anything concrete that would make me say, oh, absolutely, every time this happens, because it doesn't. Every time, the only thing that happens for sure is it will be different from the times before. So some people like to think that if there is a litter and there's quite a distribution of size, so you have a large difference between the smallest puppy and the largest puppy, that likely one horn had a lot of puppies in it, one didn't, and so the larger puppies were in the horn that didn't have so many puppies, and they had more access to more nutrition, if you will, while they were in utero. That probably doesn't make too much sense, other than there can be crowding sometimes, and that can mean that less of the nutrition flows to the puppy. Each puppy has their own sac. They all have their own amniotic sac and their own placenta. Each one of them is an individual. And when you breed a dog, when they have their honeymoon, the puppies don't actually attach until day 13. On day 13, each of those placentas attach within the uterine horn. And you probably could have maybe 15, 20 puppies at that time, and then some of them are lost because not all of them are able to be attached. And of course, a girl only has so much space in her body, and also the size of the puppy usually is accommodated by the size of mom. So it's an interesting process. And now when we had Rowan, she actually was in labor for over 30 hours. What happens is dogs go through what we refer to as stage 1 labor. In stage 1 labor, usually you'll find there's some trembling, the girl will stop eating, and there's a lot of trips outside to go to the bathroom. Stage 1 labor can last anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of days. And when the girls are trembling when they're in stage 1 labor, they are actually having contractions, but they're not visible to the human eye. So what's happening at that point is the girl is having contractions, and that's when the puppies are getting lined up in the uterine horn, when they're getting into position and when they're moving down farther in their body. It's quite interesting to watch. You can see on our Facebook page a video of when Rowan was in stage 1 labor, and one of the puppies was sticking at least this far out during the process and going all sorts of bumpity bumps all over. So it's quite an active thing. You can really see large movements, and the puppies will be out inches from their body. So Rowan had this one puppy who was like this. Now, I can only presume that because this puppy was like this, that was holding up the process, because nobody can go down and line up, because you can't be born this way. You have to be born this way. You can't come out this way. There's not enough space. So once that puppy became more in line and moved, then we got a little bit more serious about things. Now, Rowan did a couple of tricks with us. She did still eat, and she ate her dinner and her breakfast. So the dinner was the day before when she first started going into stage 1 labor, and breakfast was the day that the puppies were born. She didn't eat the whole thing, but she did still eat enough that I was like, I don't think we're really getting anywhere very fast right now. And then after she had her dinner, she was uncomfortable, but not terribly so. She had some tremors, but she was, you know, sleeping, able to relax, and there was no heavy panting going on. Panting is usually the sign that we're getting a little bit closer. And she wasn't really doing any digging. So digging is what we call nesting. That's a natural behavior because, of course, were they not having puppies with us, they would be digging a hole somewhere to deliver their puppies. And she was in and out. She was definitely in and out every 2 minutes, going to the bathroom constantly. And the reason for that is because the girl is evacuating her body to prepare for birth. You certainly don't want to be delivering puppies and having to pee or having to poop. This is also why they don't tend to eat normally. So on the morning of September 21st, she ate her breakfast, wandered around. She was very uncomfortable then, and she was going out about every 15 minutes. She would lie down, get up, lie down, get up. She just couldn't get comfortable. We could see that the sticking out puppy had gotten themselves into the right directional movement, and that things were really starting to move along. She was also starting to pant quite a bit, and she seemed to know exactly where she needed to be. We have all of our puppies in our bedroom, and there's a reason for that. Everything we do at Van Isle Labradoodles is based off of what a dog's natural behavior is. So in natural circumstances, the dog wants to be somewhere they're familiar with, that they know is safe, that they know is protected. So our dogs all sleep with us in our bedroom. And so, of course, to Rowan and all of our other moms, our bedroom is the safest place as you can be. Nothing happens there. There's no stress there. Other dogs are taken out if need be. It's a quiet place, and mom and dad are there. And that's where their beds are too. So it's natural. Building on that natural behavior is why we have our puppies in our bedroom. So she was in our bedroom, and she was in her bed, and she, from our bedroom, can keep an eye on us and know where we are. We have our whole house designed specifically around breeding dogs and making everything work as best as possible for them. So in our bedroom, the dog is able to be removed, but still well aware of everything that's going on. Now, if I would go downstairs to my office, Rowan would check and see if Reynold was upstairs. If Reynold was upstairs, she'd stay upstairs. If that Reynold was not visible, then she would come down with me to the office and be in her bed under my desk. She wasn't too keen on that though, because it was hard for her to get up and down the stairs. This girl was big. 9 puppies is a lot of extra weight to carry around. It was hard getting up and down the stairs. So around 10 o'clock in the morning, I just abandoned the idea of being in the office and stayed upstairs so she'd be more comfortable. And at about lunchtime, she threw up. And she threw up a couple of times. This is totally normal as well. Again, this is part of the evacuation process. And because she had eaten in the morning, she did have quite a bit she needed to get rid of. Thankfully, she hadn't had an enormous meal. I only made her a small one because I knew we were getting really close. And then, about 12:30, she was getting a little bit more serious about everything. And Taylor was here because we had an appointment, in the house appointment, and we had to speak to the person. So we had Taylor staying in the bedroom, just keeping an eye out in case we had to rush back in. And what our appointment was we were doing a video update for Raven's litter. So we had to get that shot and get that out. And we had sort of delayed and delayed, thinking we were going to have the puppies. And then it was like, okay, we better do it right now because we're really running out of time. So we quickly shot that video, left Taylor in our bedroom, and that way if something did happen, we were right there and we could immediately go back. Taylor has delivered a puppy before, so it's not like she doesn't know what's going on. So the timing was perfect. We finished the video, we wrapped up, we came in, and she was having her first visible contraction. So when they have a visible contraction, it's just like, you can see everything tightens up. They stop breathing. They'll usually look off into space a bit, and they look a little dazed. So as soon as the contractions start, then we are seriously monitoring what's going on. Because if a girl has contractions for over an hour and a puppy's not produced, you are in an emergency situation. Now, Rowan gave us a scare because she was pushing, and we weren't getting a puppy. Nothing was happening at all. Finally, right when I was starting to really monitor every minute, a head appeared. Very, very small amount came out, just a little tiny bit. And then we got stuck there. Nothing was happening. So we had what we call a puppy who was stuck. The puppy was big. It was her very first puppy ever, so it was very difficult for her to deliver. So in that instance, if we had not been there, if Rowan had been out on her own, she and all the puppies probably would have perished, because that puppy would not have been able to be born. But because we were there, we were able to help. It took both of us to help her. We could have done it just with one of us, but it was much easier with both of us. And that mostly involves just getting your hands in and helping to guide the puppy out, pushing the vulva back, exposing the puppy more, and really just every time she contracted, getting the puppy out more and more. You have to be very careful when you're doing this. You can harm the puppy with just so readily, and you don't want to open the sac because the puppy could drown. So you have to really, really watch and just try to be patient, which is hard because you want to get the puppy out. She is great. She didn't get upset at all. She wasn't fussed about it. She was completely fine with us helping. She seemed to recognize that that was what we were doing. And then finally, the puppy was born. After that, everything went quite smoothly, other than it took a long time. Some girls pop puppies out every 10-15 minutes. Rowan decided she needed a little rest in between. I certainly don't blame her, especially after the first one. I was quite concerned that it took so long for the first puppy to be born that she was just going to be exhausted before we even got to number 2. And this is when I thought there was only 7 or 8. So we have a little product, it's called Nutri-Drops, and the dogs don't like the taste of it. However, it's packed full of energy, and it's a little bit like Gatorade in some ways, because it has all the essential things that you're going to be lacking when you haven't eaten, you're not hydrating, and you're under stress. So it also has a lot of molasses in it to give energy. So I gave her some of that, and she gave me the usual "That was awful tasting, Mom." But that did help to give her a little bit more energy. And then I gave her another little shot of that when we were on puppy number 6. Uterine inertia is something that can happen to dogs too. When they have large litters, they simply run out of steam and they aren't able to deliver them all. That, and if we hadn't been able to deliver the puppy, are both times when you need an emergency cesarean done. Sadly, emergency care for dogs on Vancouver Island is quite lacking. Sometimes you can't even get in. Often you are triaged inappropriately. So the last thing we want to do is have to go to emergency. We always hope that we are going to be able to manage the situation ourselves, so that everybody has a better chance of a successful result. So really proud of Rowan. Now, part of the reason why we breed our girls at the age we do is because they're young and vital. Part of the reason they're so vital is their nutrition. Rowan, just like all of our dogs, eats a 100% natural whole food raw diet that allows her to access all of the bioavailability in her food and keeps her in tip-top shape. In turn, that means that she's able to deliver puppies more readily than a kibble-fed dog. Also, the placentas in a raw-fed dog are much more robust than in a kibble-fed dog. So you have less chance of a placenta blowing up and a puppy being born without one, or a puppy drowning in their own placenta juices. So there's a whole lot that goes into getting the girl ready for becoming pregnant, sustaining her pregnancy, and then being in peak condition to deliver the puppies. Now, Rowan's mom and dad take her for lots of good walks, so she was in good physical condition as well. We don't want our girls to be fat, and we don't want our girls to be underweight when they are about to deliver, because this is when you need to be in tip-top shape. And Rowan certainly was. And she has recovered like instantly. She had the puppies. She came in and she she did what she's doing right now. She went to sleep. She was tired. After 30+ hours of getting the puppies out, she was just like, oh, thank goodness. Phew, there you go, you kids, you eat. I'm just going to nap now. But she also was quite devoted already because she didn't want to leave. We still now have to put a leash on her to get her to leave the puppies to go to the bathroom. But today, for instance, just the day after, she's up bebopping around, she's running, you'd never know she'd had a puppy. If it wasn't for her mammary glands, if you saw her, you would have no idea that she had just delivered 9 puppies the other day. So dogs recover very, very fast. If your girl is not recovering that quickly, then that's when you want to start paying attention, checking temperatures, looking at their gums, seeing if something might be wrong. The most common thing that goes wrong is a placenta is retained and it stays in the dog's body. They don't expel it, and then it becomes, they get an infection from that. So one placenta stayed in Rowan. She didn't deliver it at the time of birth. It comes out after the puppy. The puppy's in their sac, and then the placenta is attached and comes out after the puppy. Sometimes the cord will break. Sometimes we'll get the puppy out and there'll be just the hind legs or the head left in. If it's the hind legs, I don't worry about it. If the head is left inside mom, I will take the puppy out because we want to get that puppy breathing. And sometimes when that happens, she doesn't have a contraction at a convenient time, and so the placenta is left behind. What happens though is over the next 24 hours after the puppies are born, they just expel it. And normally we have no idea because they do that when they're outside to go to the bathroom and we don't necessarily see it. But this time we did see it. Rowan was a little distressed about that when it happened. It took a little while to come completely out, and she was quite frantic that she was away from her babies and couldn't come back in. And then we had to do a little cleanup before she could come in because she was quite a mess, so we had to take her into our shower and hose her down and dry her off before she could come back to the babies. But she took that all in stride. You know, I'm always saying that it's important that mom not be stressed, and we wanted to make sure that even though this was an uncomfortable situation for her, that when she came back in with her puppies, she was relaxed, and she did that all on her own. We didn't have to do anything special. Now you can see how the puppies are lined up here. We've got, I think, 5, 6 of them nursing. And Purple's not nursing, but there's a couple underneath the 3 or 4 on top you can see here. So you might wonder, well, how do 9 puppies nurse? Because there's not 9 nipples on each side. So incredibly, the puppies learn to rotate on their own within hours. The first night is always tricky and difficult. They usually are screaming. They aren't strong enough to kind of push their way in. They don't have a rotation worked out. And you often will find in a litter as large as this one that overnight there will be puppies who lose weight. So these guys have it all sorted out now. It tends to be that the larger puppies go first, which is actually a good thing because when the milk lets down, it can gush, and then you need to be a larger puppy to be able to handle that flow. And then when those puppies are satiated, then the younger or the smaller puppies come in and the flow is a little bit less and it's easier for them to negotiate. Also, the puppies have already learned how to burrow underneath, so they really are nursing from both sides almost all the time. Now, the only time we hear the puppies talk is when Rowan gets up and flips herself over. Then they all go, oh my goodness, what's going on? Oh, I lost my spot. Oh, my world is ended. But it only lasts a few seconds until she gets herself in position again, and then all is well. So Rowan's doing great. She's not, unfortunately, picking up after her puppies. So we are doing poop cleanup. Normally a mom does that, and that is what she should be doing. However, Rowan's not quite caught on to that yet, so we'll just wait and see if she does. Hopefully. It does make things a little bit more smelly in the meantime and a bit more messy, a lot more laundry. But sometimes girls just take a while to get into the full swing of things. So now let's go through each of the puppies quickly. I may not lift them all up. On the week 1 update, you will see them all much more closely. I don't want to upset her. Right now, it doesn't even look like she'll notice. I also don't want to interrupt them too much when they are nursing. So the first puppy who arrived and who was the big bruiser and caused all the problems is this gorgeous chocolate party boy here, blue collar boy. And you can see him, so I'm not going to lift him up because he is nursing. He has a beautiful symmetrical chocolate on his head, and these 2 little spots on his head almost are heart-shaped. And Mr. Blue came in at 223 grams. Now, interestingly, he is not the biggest puppy in the litter, but by the time the biggest puppy in the litter was born, things were loosened up enough, if you will, so there wasn't any issue. That puppy was not stuck. And indeed, the puppy who is the biggest puppy in the litter is the very last one to be born, our surprise puppy, number 9. Next was Pink Collar Girl, and we'll just see if we can find Miss Pinky here. Let's see, this is Miss Purple. Oh, and this is Miss Red. Miss Pink is a caramel. Yeah, Miss Pink is a caramel. Where is Miss Pink? Which Miss Pink is missing. There are so many of them that they do go underneath things. And also, Rowan tucks some of them underneath her. 3, just a minute, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Pink. Underneath blue. Underneath blue, Reynolds says. There we go. There she is. There she is. I can pick her up. There, you were hiding. Miss Pink is a caramel party. Now, right now, she looks like she's mostly white. And you can see that this caramel puppy looks quite a bit darker than she does where her markings are. This puppy is going to have lots and lots of dark caramel coloring on her. It just takes a little while for that caramel to darken up. But you'll see as time goes on, you can hardly see the spots on her back, but she does have quite a few, and you can see lots on her head, on her ears. Those are all going to darken up as time goes on, and she's just going to be a stunning puppy. Caramel parties are some of the prettiest puppies you can have. And Miss Pink and Mr. Blue was born at 2:07 in the afternoon. Then we had to wait a whole hour until Miss Pink arrived, and she was 209 grams. And then after that, we had Yellow Collar Girl. And Yellow Collar Girl is one of our beautiful ebonies. And where is Miss Yellow Collar hiding? Yellow Collar is way at the bottom here somewhere. There we go. Nursing, and there, she's not going to complain. This is our gorgeous ebony, maybe Phantom, maybe Sable. Phantom and Sable look exactly the same at first, and you can't actually tell what they are until later in the process. Normally what will happen is the markings on the face and on the paws will give it away. So if you look at Rowan's rather beautiful face, you'll see that she has all of the indicia for a Phantom. She looks like she's expressing Phantom, but she's actually a Sable. And the way we were able to tell that when she was younger was these markings in here were more what I call, in a highly technical word, smooshy, and a little bit more faded. So we'll just see what Miss Yellow ends up looking like, and then we'll know if she's a Sable or a Phantom. And Miss Yellow was 240 grams. She was actually bigger than Blue as well. I think that Blue might have been the puppy who was all sideways and caused so many problems. Yet that's what I think. There you go. I'm sorry, Yellow. You lost your spot because I took you, but there's one there for you. When I take them away right now, which I only do when we're doing the video, I like to put them back somewhere where they can nurse again. So already they're starting to associate me with good things. Next we have Red Collar Girl, and that's this caramel girl right here. She's a beautiful golden, dark golden caramel, gorgeous color. And Miss Red Collar arrived at 3:32, and we were quite excited because we thought, oh well, this was only 15 minutes that we had to wait. Pink was 3:05, yellow was 3:14, red was 3:32. We thought, oh good, we're getting into a really nice rhythm here, and we'll be done before the middle of the night. And Miss Red was 196 grams when she was born. So she was quite a bit smaller than Miss Yellow was. But you can see now when you look at yellow and red here, there's not a huge amount of difference. They'll all start to even out fairly soon. Next, we had to wait until 3:47 for Orange Color to be born. And he was the second boy. And he's underneath here. Oh, he's not nursing, so I can take him. And he's a little squirt. He's just a little tiny squirty guy. His collar looks so much bigger than he does. And he is a beautiful ebony abstract with some nice white markings on him. Just the cutest little guy, so tiny. And Mr. Orange was born at 3:47, and he weighed 152 grams. He is the smallest puppy in the litter, and he is a little tiny guy, but oh, he's doing very well. He's not having any problem gaining weight, so that's wonderful to see. That's what I'm always looking for. Then after Mr. Orange, we had Miss Purple. Now, Mr. Orange, you were not nursing, so you probably don't care, but I'll find you a spot. Miss Red, you're missing yours. Over here. There you go. Now, you'll hear me talking to them, but they, of course, cannot hear me. But I do talk to them all of the time. Miss Purple is also a caramel. And where is Miss Purple gone? Where are you, Miss Purple? Here she is, way at the bottom of the pile. And she is nursing. So I'm just going to show you a little hint of her here. She looks exactly the same as Red Collar over here. Same color, everything. Miss Purple arrived at 5:15. So we had to wait from 10 to 4 until 5:15. That probably, if you believe what most breeders do, was when we changed from one horn to the other, because we had that big pause there, although we had a few big pauses. And so she arrived at 5:15, and she weighed 224 grams. Then next we had to wait until 7:30. Now we were getting hungry. We had to wait until 7:30 for Green Collar to arrive. And Green is another party, and another caramel party, which you can see right here. You can see all that beautiful caramel on the side of her face. Down on her back here, she's got some nice markings. So she started off a little bit darker. This may mean that she actually is a red party as opposed to a caramel. We won't know if they're reds or caramels until their noses fill in, because what makes a red dog is a black nose. And Miss Green Collar, she weighed 200 grams. Then we waited until 8:05 for what we thought was surely the last puppy. And this one's not nursing. And this is Silver Collar Girl. Now, we know for sure that this girl is a phantom, because can you see that stripe down her back? That is an indication for sure this is a sable dog, not a phantom. She looks like a phantom right now when you see her markings, and she's a gorgeous mahogany type of color. Her color will change a bit too, and who knows what it will be like, but it's absolutely stunning. And Miss Silver arrived at 8:05 and weighed 164 grams. Quite often the smallest puppy is the last one to be born. She's not the actual smallest, but she is the second smallest. And so we thought, okay, good, that's it, we're all done, yeah. And we, again, use food to tell us if we're finished. Because normally a girl will not eat if she still has puppies. There's no way. You can give her anything. You can give her filet mignon and she'll say, no. So we were quite confident we were finished. We poked around, couldn't really feel anything. She seemed to be telling us she was done. She looked like she was going to fall asleep. And so we brought out a meal for her, and she gobbled that up with no problem. Reynolds leashed her up, took her out. She went to the bathroom, everything was showing us we were all done. And then guess what? At 8:30, number 9 arrived. And number 9 is Brown Collar Girl, and she is the same color as Silver Collar. They are almost twins, other than Brown Collar Girl is the biggest puppy in the litter. She is also a chocolate sable. She is just gorgeous. She's got some lovely white on her as well. And at 8:30 she was born, and she weighed 244 grams. And then we were like, holy smokes, are there any more? But that was it, thankfully. I'm so glad we didn't have 10. 9 is a lot of puppies for a first-time mom. It's a lot of work. It's a little overwhelming, I'm sure, to have never had a puppy and all of a sudden you've got 9 of them, because it is pretty much non-stop feasting at the milk bar. So Rowan's doing great. She has a really good appetite. She's eating well. She's quite attentive to them. If we can just get her to learn how to clean up after them, then everything will be perfect. So we hope you enjoyed today's video. As I said, we have 4 spots open on this litter. I do not know which puppies it is that are available, because we match our puppies to our families. If you're interested, please pop by to our website, which is whelping.com. If you go to the Find Your Puppy page, you'll find our application form there. And in the last question, you can just say this is the litter you're interested in, and you can ask me to let you know how we do our matching process. I can tell you we've been using the same process for 43 years, and we've never had a puppy come back because the family wasn't happy with the puppy we matched them with. So I think we got it pretty much figured out there. So if you're looking for a puppy who's going to go home in November, and some of these puppies will be around 20 pounds, the bigger puppies are going to mature closer to between 24 to 26 pounds, and they are going to be great family dogs. They'll be able to participate in any type of physical activity you wish, and they'll also all be just like Rowan. They'll be super cuddly and pretty much able to still fit up on your lap. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you'll be back with us for our week 1 update. These litter updates will be coming out on every Sunday, and we hope you'll follow along for the whole 8 weeks that we have these beautiful puppies from Rowan and Rocky with us. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, baby girl. It's a good girl. Yes. It's a good mom. You're